The American history taught in schools presents a story with entire chapters missing. In fact, a major study found 87% of states only teach Native American history in a pre-1900 context. This erasure means nearly 80% of Americans admit knowing little to nothing about Native peoples. Even more shocking, 40% of Americans aren't even sure Native Americans still exist. We will now show the forgotten civilizations, key contributions, and hard truths that reshape our view of America. The first myth to fall is the idea of an empty, untamed wilderness. Before Columbus, this land was home to massive, sophisticated cities. Consider Cahokia, near modern St. Louis. At its peak around 1100 AD, it was larger than London, with a population of up to 2,000 people. And Cahokia was not an anomaly. The idea of a single native culture is fiction. Today, 574 federally recognized nations exist, each distinct. This vibrant, diverse world was met with a catastrophe of unimaginable scale. European diseases like smallpox swept through populations with no immunity. This was not just a series of epidemics. It was a demographic collapse. Historians estimate up to 90% of the indigenous population died. If this was reality, why is the story we learn so different? Because history is not just what happened. It is the stories we choose to tell. Take Thanksgiving. We learn of a peaceful meal, but the brutal conflicts and massacres that followed are omitted to serve a national myth. This omission extends to America's foundations. U.S. democracy was inspired by Greece and Rome. But what if a key influence was much closer to home? History also erases native agency by minimizing resistance. Figures like Tecumseh, who built a multi-tribal confederacy, are treated as footnotes. The story of what was taken is huge, but so is the story of what was given. Let's list the innovations many take for granted. Sustainable farming, like the Three Sisters system, was a sophisticated innovation that shaped American agriculture for generations. Sequoia's Cherokee syllabary led to a higher literacy rate in the Cherokee Nation than in surrounding white communities. Beyond innovations, countless influential individuals are erased from our textbooks, people who shaped history but whose names you likely never learned. Like Wilma Mankiller, first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, or Charles Curtis, a Kaw Nation member and U.S. vice president. The erasure also simplifies complex social roles. We rarely hear about women warriors like Buffalo Calf Road Woman of the Northern Cheyenne. A complete history must include uncomfortable truths, like the widely overlooked history of Indian slavery, practiced by colonists in some tribes. These complex realities do not fit into simple textbook boxes, but acknowledging them is required for an honest understanding of the past. About that question on American democracy, the answer was hiding in plain sight. The Iroquois Confederacy was a representative democracy centuries before 1776. Benjamin Franklin and other founders were influenced by its principles of balanced power. This fact was not formally acknowledged by the U.S. Senate until 1988. Forgetting this history is not just an academic issue. It has devastating, multi-generational consequences that are still felt today. One of the darkest chapters is the era of forced boarding schools. Starting in the late 19th century, Native children were forcibly taken from their families. The explicit goal was to kill the enemy and save the man, to systematically erase their languages and cultures, causing deep, intergenerational trauma. This unresolved historical trauma is not just a memory. It directly contributes to the mental and physical health disparities in Native communities today. Recall the 87% statistic from the start? That educational invisibility is not harmless. Some scholars call this systemic erasure a contemporary form of racism. When history is told from a single perspective, it creates a distorted reality, robbing people of their past and a true understanding of the nation. Despite centuries of this erasure, Native cultures are not just surviving, they are thriving. Indigenous peoples are vital parts of the American fabric today. So what can you do? Start by seeking out the stories that have been left out. Read books by Native authors. Visit tribal museums. Follow Indigenous creators. Advocate for more inclusive history standards in local schools. Challenge the stereotypes and misconceptions whenever you encounter them. A nation that does not know its full history cannot understand its present or build a just future. By restoring these forgotten narratives, we do not just rewrite the past, we create the possibility of a better informed, more equitable world.